What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Wanna Go Fishing. It is me, good old Willie, your host here at Wanna Go Fishing. I was outside just a minute ago and I was looking around. Actually, I was messing around with good old Mr. T, which, man, is giving me an absolute fit. Anyway, I was out there messing with him and I was thinking to myself, Self, why don't you go inside and do a little bit of a video on some reels that you just got. And back to myself said, so I said, okay, let's go inside and do that video right now. Now I'm going to show you a couple of reels, maybe three, that I just recently got from a friend of mine, Dan Selvig. Me and him have become pretty tight in the world of vintage fishing equipment, specifically reels. And I've purchased a few from him and he's purchased a few from me. And we have been having some fun with these old things. Now, I got 3 of them from him, and I'm going to show you 2 of them real quick here. Well, one of them anyway, I'm going to show you really fast. This is a Shakespeare 1797. Now, this is a thumb-driven spin cast reel. Very similar to the 1810 that I used and actually put on the fly rod. We've got this thing all lined up with 6-pound line, got it on a older Fenwick Eagle rod, and this is going to be a future. Well, you never know. I might do them all at one time. I might do one at a time. I might do them all at one time. You never know. I probably could, but I might not. But I maybe, you don't ever really know with me. Anyway, the next one I want to show you is one that's going to have to be worked on. Now this one, this guy's going to need some work. Now this is very similar to the 1810. This is actually an 1850. You still use it the same way. You dial it backwards to cast and you got to hold the line and all that. It's got some issues. Sounds more like you're trying to grind coffee than it actually does reel. But I'm going to take care of that. We're going to fix that. We're going to make that thing work. Now the one of interest to me, maybe not you, but to me, is this one right here. The Johnson Sidewinder Model 80. That's the box. That's not the reel. I'm going to take it out of the box so you can see it though. Now you might think that that reel right there is supposed to aim this direction for that line to go out. Well, it doesn't. That's why they call it the Sidewinder, because it actually can go down like this, like this, like this, or like this. It actually casts, you cast it, the string comes out of the hole on the side. Hence, Sidewinder. It's a very cool little thing. And this is the Model 80, they call it. This is the predecessor to the Johnson Century Model 100. This is what came before these guys here. Now you're talking early 50s, okay? That's where you're talking. That's what I'm talking. Now, whether you're listening, it's a whole different story. This reel is unique in not just the fact that it shoots the line out from the side. It also is your first initial, or the first type of push button. You push that little silver button in right there. Okay? That's what disengages your line retrieval pin. Line retrieval pin, allowing you to be able to hold the line and cast. Now, with this type of reel, what I'm probably going to do is use a fly rod. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. So I am going to put this underneath on a fly rod, where that little button right there is going to be down here. We're going to press. I'll grab the line, cast. Now, where you have to be careful with this is, there is no anti-reverse on these reels. You can go either direction. So things can get pretty ugly if you allow this thing to spin backwards. If you think a backlash on a bait caster is bad, get something backlashed inside of this, where you got to take it all apart and take it out to get it unbacklashed. Not something I would suggest. Now, most of you watching this have probably never seen one of these in your life. Maybe some of you who are watching it seen the title and went, oh, I want to see that. I've never seen one. You know, I've checked on YouTube and I'm not finding a whole lot of these guys on YouTube. So it's going to be an interesting little video. So again, keeping with the Johnson way of doing things, because you can, go both directions with it, depending on how you put the line on. Okay, let's just say I've got it on the fly rod, right? So it's going to be down like this. This would be the direction in which I will want to retrieve. That is the direction that I would put the line on, okay? I would reel it in and get like that. If you wanted to change up and put it up on top, you could do that. You know what I'm saying? You're down with what I'm speaking? Problem would be, is you'd be reeling in the wrong direction. The way to take care of that is, you just take this little cap off, the bell, the top of the hamburger bun right here. You'd unscrew that off of there and you would flip, well, you got to take the other piece off under the retrieval part off, and you would flip the spool over. That's all you have to do. Flip the spool over to where the line's coming off the opposite side, and there you go. You can go from right to left hand just like that. But for us, for me, it's going to be on a fly rod and it's going to be underneath of here, and we're going to be reeling like this here. Now maybe it's not something you'd ever use, but you got to think to yourself, that's got to be one of the coolest things I've ever seen. How did people use those? We're going to find out. So what I'm going to do is get some line on it, get it on a fly rod. Hopefully this weekend, I am going to, if the weather permits, we're going to get this thing out on a rod and we are going to try to catch something with it. So anyway, let me get this on that rod, get some line on it, and I'll be right back with you in a moment. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more. How about that? So, in a matter of seconds, milliseconds, split seconds, whatever kind of seconds you want to deal with, me, I'm more of a Thanksgiving seconds kind of guy. Just saying. There we go. We're all set up. We got line on there, and let me tell you what a delight it is to put line on this reel. You got no real way of knowing if you're done or not done, how much goes on it, so you just keep reeling and reeling and reeling, and you take it apart and you look and check the spool, and then you put it all back together again. And there's some ABCs to this stuff that you got to figure out. Also having to remember that you can't let that crank go backwards, because if you let it go backwards, it'll take some of that line that you put on there off and make a nice big loop and a spool inside. There's a reason, yes, there's a reason we don't use stuff like this anymore. We have come a long way. Okay? I'm not saying that we haven't, because we have. Technology has far surpassed the Johnson Sidewinder, but it's still fun to get out there, use these things, and just try to remember, try to reflect, go backwards a little bit and go, hey, you know what? We do have it pretty good right now. Instant gratification. We've heard those words before. These things were not. We're going to go ahead and give this thing a shot as soon as we're able to. So beware, the next video could be this one, quite possibly the Shakespeare. Maybe not, but probably, but not maybe. Maybe even the other Shakespeare if I get it taken apart and fixed, and we'll take that out there. If I was a smart man, I'd make all three of those individual videos. Thank you guys. We're going to get this thing out to the water here eventually. Appreciate you watching. Keep ready at all times. Watch that bell. Go ahead and subscribe. You'll know when I'm doing this before all those other people do. The ones that don't hit the bell. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, thank y'all for watching. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to watch YouTube.